Welcome back, new players. This is going to be part 11 of my new player series where we're going to be going over combat. Now, combat is how you interact with other players as well as other NPCs in the game. NPCs would be something like tiles or monsters. Combat can be a very arduous process to learn. There's a lot of nuance to it. I will not be covering every single detail in this video. I'm just going to be providing you basic combat knowledge. There may be a video a little bit later on advanced combat. I will be going over a few strategies on how to construct your marches. However, I think it is more important to teach you how to think about combat rather than just provide you marches. If I were to make a video covering every scenario when it comes to gear, troop types, marching, that would be probably an hour-long video, and I don't think that it would actually help anybody. As I said, it's more important to learn how to think about combat and fighting in this game, as opposed to just providing you generic answers and a spreadsheet somewhere. So if that's what you're looking for, unfortunately this is not the video for you. So how does basic combat work? So combat has a tier list that the game checks. So the first check is your commander level. As you can see, my plasma is max level, that is level 60. When it comes to tiles or arc defense, whether that is your own arc or you are garrisoned on somebody else's arc, or defending your tiles or attacking tiles, the first check is going to be level difference. So a level 60 will always go first over a level 59. Now, there's a caveat to that. We'll get to that in a second. I just want to focus on this first. If you are the same level, meaning level 60, level 50, it doesn't matter. If you're the same level, arc defense and tile defense, the defender will always go first. So as you can see, my plasma is currently defending my arc. Now this isn't something that I would actually do, but for reference, if somebody were to attack me with a level 60, it does not matter who it is or what their march is, my plasma will always defend first. They will get first strike, as this is an arc defense. So what's the exception to this? Well, let's jump to the world map. The exception to how combat works when it comes to first strike is capital battles. This is server side, as well as this happens in Kassatan, as well as GC battles. But for this example, we're just going to use this capital battle. It does not matter the level of your commander. If you have a commander in defense, if that commander has not fought any other commander, your commander will have first strike. Does not matter about level. It only matters, has it fought? If no, your commander goes first. And the second check is, has your commander fought? If yes, your commander goes second. Now, even if you were to win the first and second fight, the third fight, the question would be, has your commander fought? Yes, it has. It goes second. So it does not matter if you fought 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 plus times. Your commander will always go second after the first fight. Does not matter about the level of your commander. This is important to know for attackers and defenders on how you can set up your troops to properly defend. So as we talk about combat, an aspect that you need to know about is marching speed. There are different ways to get marching speed. There is a bonus, there's a hull, and you can get it later on in the game through the space station. Marching speed just boosts your marching speed by a percentage. You can also do what's called speed marching. So a speed march is this button up here. If you select it, it will give you an option to use gold or marching speed increases if you have them available. This will take a percentage off of the time. So as you can see, I have 8 seconds. If I use the marching speed 25%, it will lower the marching speed and make it faster by 25%. This is the best way to march someone from across the map, and you want to hit them hard because when you first start marching someone, they will get a notification that you are attacking them. And depending on their building level, they will be able to see your commander, your formation, what troops you have, as well as your gear. The best way to counter speed marching is to unlock Force Field. Now, I am currently attempting to unlock this, but this is the single most important research that you can have unlocked if you're attempting to fight someone arc to arc. What this does is when you activate it, your opponent is not allowed to use gold or marching boosts to increase their speed of their march. So if they're about a minute or two away, they march your arc, you get the notification, you can see what they are sending, and you can come up with a defense plan to beat that march. Now, as I've said, there are different formations that you can use. This is not all of them. They will not work with every commander. But usually when someone refers to a one slot bust, that means that all of their troops that they are sending are in slot 1. So the slots are as following. It's slot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. One slot bust traditionally is in the first slot. You also have what's referred to as a full march. This is when you take every single slot and you put as many troops in them as you possibly can. You have a different type of one slot bust where you put a ranger in first slot and then the troops that you want to actually attack in second slot. This is traditionally a formation if you know that you are not going to get first strike. And then you have a fourth slot bust. These are all technically one slot busts, but they're different formations. This one is traditionally for fighting against walkers because their awakening only takes out the first row. If you know that you're going to get second strike, they will attack, take out your first 3 slots, and then your 4th slot will go. And the 5th formation showing, I do not have T12 available, unfortunately. But if you have the right talents, this would be another one slot bust formation. Assume that the T10 is a T12 plus troop, and some talents require you to have a different troop type in another adjacent slot. So the T9 that you see, just assume that that would be a base T12 troop. This is just used to activate the talent slot. This would be another example of a one slot bust. The reason you're going to do a one slot bust is because you don't have the troops to full slot. Maybe your commander is not traditionally a full marching commander, or maybe you just want to minimize your losses, should you lose. It's also important to note how shields work in this game. So if you have a shield on, your opponent cannot attack you. If they are already marching your arc and you put a shield on, they will continue to march your arc, but when they get to your arc, they will turn around and receive an error code. It's important to note that when you are doing a capital battle, as discussed previously, you can march on the capital and then immediately put on your shield. However, if you are attacking another arc and you are marching them, if the march is still in progress on the way to their arc, you cannot put a shield on. That would be the time that they are able to counter march you. Now, if you have not unlocked Force Field yet, another strategy you can use is a double march. So traditionally, you would attack an opponent's arc. You would give them, at the very least, a minute, so they would be able to see what march you are sending. They would set up their garrison, if they choose to garrison, so they would be able to counter that march. Now, if you have been fighting with this person, you probably know what troops and commanders they have, what formations they use to defend various marches that you send. This is beneficial for you because you will send one march, they will attempt to counter it, but then you immediately send a second march to beat that one, and then you will speed march. So your second march hits. Now, something that I did not bring up before is that forts work the same way as a arc defense. If you're garrisoned in a fort, the defense will always have first strike. Rallies are a little bit different. They're pretty much the same way that fort battles work. If you, when you attack the rally, you will get first strike first because you're the defender, but then the second time they will attack, we'll move on to the second person, and then the second person will have second strike. It doesn't work quite the same. It works for the overall battle, not based on if you have fought or not. The first fight, the defender will always have first strike. The second fight, the attacker will always have first strike. And that goes on and on until you run out of battles. It is important to note that if you decide to fight server-side, your losses will be much more significant than if you fight in GC or Kacitan. I would suggest, as you are marching, you do not march full slots. As you can see, my full one slot without an AI is 982. I would never march this on an arc if I don't 100% know that I will win. I would also not march this on a tile unless I've scouted it. And I would definitely not march this in a capital battle. The payoff for winning is great, but losing the troops is much more expensive. Now that's dependent on if you spend money or not. If you can afford to just spend and spend and spend, there's nothing wrong with that, but it is much easier for you to fight server side than it is for others. So just be aware of how you are sending your marches and what you are choosing to use. So that's the basic of combat and how it works, how to get first strike, when you'll get second strike, maybe some suggestions on how to set up your marches based on what you're trying to do. Now, as I said, there's a lot of information when it comes to combat and how you attack and defend your troops, talents, research, gear, as well as all of that when it comes to your opponent, as well as how they're marching, you're marching. Do they have Broken Fortress? Do they have Sunraven? Do they not? There's all of these are factors that come into play. If I have enough interest, I may do a more advanced combat video. But for the most part, I want to teach you guys how to think about combat. You guys may be in a different spot than me, so I don't want to just provide you with marches. If I teach you how to think about combat, then I believe that will be more beneficial to you than just providing you generic answers that may or may not work for you. I appreciate you guys coming to check out this video. Be on the lookout for my next video, which will be episode 12. I'll be talking about advanced materials. Until that time, I appreciate you guys. I'm the Grinch. I'm out.